Hey everybody, and Tony here with two movie reviews. The first one being a French film that I caught at the Das Kino in Salzburg, which known in German is Monsieur Claude und seine Töchter, known in English as Monsieur Claude and his daughters, and the original French title for this movie was Qu'est-ce, qu'on a fait à bon Dieu, known in English as What Did We Do to God? So, the director for this film was Philippe de Chavannes, who was also one of the screenwriters alongside Guy Laurent. The producer was Romain Reutemann, and it stars Christian Clavier, Chantal Lobby, Émilie Cahen, Frédéric Shaw, Frédéric Abel, Elodie Fontan, Julia Piaton, Aria Beton, Noum Diawara, Elie Simon, Pascal Nzonzi, Salimata Kamate, and Tatiana Rojo. Now, before going into this film, I had my initial doubts. I was not so sure whether I would really like this film or dislike it with a passion, because knowing in my opinion about the French filmmakers, I absolutely love the European filmmakers, and the ones that really come close to my heart definitely have to be the French. Well, I'm not really making this up, because when it comes to filmmaking, I feel that, in my honest opinion, the French really know how to, well, they really know how to make things come alive with their artistry. They have a great taste of art, and they're very visual about what they can do with their works, and they have this type of artistic freedom, and that's definitely something that I definitely admire when it comes to, well, French filmmakers. Heck, some of my favorite French films have to be the Triplets of Belleville, and that's the only one that I can think of. And I've heard a lot of great things about Persepolis, and I do hope to catch that one day. So, going into this film in particular, Monsieur Claude and his daughters, I was quite skeptical because I was not so sure of what I was going to think about it. Until I read some reviews, and some of them were pretty much in the film's favor. And when I caught it myself, I have to say, I was definitely surprised. What I ended up getting was a very exciting, quirky, fun, yet at times raunchy comedy film that is also quite touchy on the issue of racism, though at times it can be painted quite lightly. So overall, it's quite a fun ride. And speaking on a story point, the story is nothing new for me. I mean, it's the same issues of parents wanting their children to, or their, well, children who are already adults, to be married, and the standards that they have. Yes, the three daughters of Claude and Marie are happily married, but here's the catch. One daughter is married to a Jew, the other is married to an Arab, and the other is married to a Chinese man. And secretly, the youngest daughter is, well, already engaged to a black man. So this causes some trouble for the parents, most notably that of Claude, and even that of the future husband's father. So there is some interesting tension going on between the two fathers. And even though the story, or even the concept of the story, is nothing fresh or nothing new, because, well, this is kind of a little bit like Romeo and Juliet and many other of these forbidden love stories that I've known in the past. Though this is definitely helped by the comedy and how much fun that I've had in this film. Sure, there were some moments where the humor kind of went into a little bit of that gross territory, but other than that, I thought the comedy was quite well done, and even though the story wasn't anything fresh or groundbreaking, it still kept me hooked because of the very colorful characters in this film. The cinematography is well done, and I especially liked that scene where we are introduced to Shah's hometown, in which we see these colors flashing, and I thought that was absolutely fantastic use of color. The characters are pretty much likable. Some of them you can definitely root for. Others you kind of wish that they could have been a lot better, or even really wonder, oh my goodness, can you just get any better this time around? I mean, yeah, they're all likable. The ones that stand out for me are definitely Claude, Marie, Charles, Laure, and the three husbands of the older daughters. I have to say, the three husbands, we got Chow, Rashid, and David. I thought they were all hilarious in their own special way. Sure, you can say, well, fangirls and, well, people who are very interested and very cute looking guys can say, oh, they're so cute. But I actually like their chemistry together. Whether they argue or even get together as buddies, they definitely have that great chemistry. My personal favorite scene with Chow, David, and Rashid was the scene where they were building the snowman and they were snowball fighting, and I thought that was just absolutely fun seeing these three men like relive a little bit of their childhood playing snowball fighting. I thought that was just very cute. And Claude, sure, there are times that he can be quite the asshole, but he does genuinely care for his daughters. I mean, he just wants the best for them. Of course, he's not always the father of the year because, well, there are moments that he is quite close-minded and he can make some offensive jokes about the various ethnicities that his older, well, three older daughters have. You know, the fact that one is married to an Arab, the other to a Jew, and the other to a Chinese. Sure, that does land him in trouble, but he's still a very likable character because he does have some genuinely funny lines. And Marie, she tries to be the only sane woman in the house. She tries to be grounded on her reality. However, there are moments in which she tries to keep her own 2 feet together because she feels like she is going into a little bit of a crisis in her life. Laura, I have to say, is one of the daughters. Of all the daughters, she definitely stood out for me. It's not to say that the three older daughters didn't have any personality, it's just that they didn't really stick well with me. The older one, who was Ségolène, comes off as insecure and quite sickly and very sensitive. The other two, namely Isabelle and Odile, well, there's not a lot of development from there. But with Laura, I pretty much understand her plight of how she feels about how her family is treating her and her fiance. Of course, we've seen these types of female characters before. I mean, take a look at a lot of the Disney princess movies, most notably The Little Mermaid. Yeah, all I can say is that Laura has Ariel's headstrong nature, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, yes, her character is not the most deep, but she is, out of all the daughters, quite interesting. And Shaw, her fiance, is absolutely likable. He is so down to earth, he is so funny, and he doesn't let the issue of him being black get to him. It doesn't annoy him, it doesn't hinder him. He absolutely loves Laura with his whole heart. And his father, who is Andre Kofi, he's quite fun as well because, well, at first, I didn't really like him too much. He appeared too stern, too strict, too uptight, too traditionalist for someone like that. Whereas his wife and his younger daughter, they were more laid back and were a lot more fun-loving. But with him, it took a lot of time, just like with Claude, to really make my heart go out to them. So even though the characters aren't always fully fleshed out, they're still a lot of fun to watch, and they have some of the funniest lines in this movie. And the acting was very solid. The standouts for me have to be, let's see, Christian Clavier, chantant Lobby. Who's that? Elodie Fontaine, Noam Diawara, and Pascal Nozonzi. I also like Frédéric Shaw and Ari Habitant and, let's see, Mehdi Sodon. Yeah, I really love those three because they have great chemistry. And Christian Clavier was able to play up Claude's slightly asshole nature in the first part of the movie, yet he was able to make this character quite likable. Yeah, he definitely is great at what he does. And even though these names aren't so familiar to me, they all did a great job. The standouts for me being Clavier, Lobby, Shaw, Sadon, Habitant, and Fontaine, and also Nozonzi and Diawara. Nozonzi was able to, Pascal Nozonzi was able to play up Andre's stern and very stoic nature. That is until he gets along with Claude's actor, Christian Clavier. I really like the bond between them. So overall, this film has some solid acting all across the border, and the music was also quite memorable as well. I also remember that there was this one piece of music that was quite addicting to listen to, and that was the music of the Zumba scene in which Madeleine and Marie and Viviane were doing. I thought it was just a lot of fun. So overall, while this film doesn't have anything that's groundbreaking in terms of its story and characters, and even though sometimes the humor can be a little bit off for me, it's still a very fun and enjoyable ride that I'm sure that many fans of French films or European films in general or world films in general will tune into one of these days. So with that said, I give this film a 4 out of 5 stars. It is quite worth it because of the comedy. Yes, the characters and the story may not be that deep, but that does not excuse it from not being fun. It's definitely a fun and enjoyable film, and I recommend that you go watch it. That is, if you can stand the jokes in the movie. Sure, it can be quite touchy about racism, but just as long as you don't really get affected by it, then you're totally fine. So it's quite an enjoyable film all throughout. Well, that's all for now. Tune in later where I review The Grand Seduction starring Brendan Gleeson and Taylor Kitsch. So until then, see you later, everybody.